Namaste and welcome to the third of the series of the Dashavatara. This story focuses on the Varaha avatar of Lord Vishnu and begins with the abode of Lord Vishnu himself, which is the Vaikuntha, the most peaceful place on this earth. Then how did the most peaceful place become the source of unrest on the earth? We would get to that soon, but for now we begin. Bhu charoka hara punya mate, krodho dhruta bhu deva hare, krodakara sharir namo, hari bhaktam te paripalaya mam. Which translates to that my salutations to the Lord, who punished the thief who stole the earth, the one who vanquishes all of our fears, and the one who took the form of even a boar to rescue the earth and to restore to it dharma. We thus bow down to Lord Vishnu himself. And we now begin with the story. Jaya and Vijaya, the two doorkeepers of the Vaikuntha, diligently did their duty. Every day, all day. One day, the four Sant Kumars, the sons of Brahma, approached the Vaikuntha and begged to meet the Lord, saying that it was urgent. Jaya and Vijaya, however, shunned them away right away, saying that the Lord was now resting. The Sant Kumars tried to reason with them, saying that it was necessary, but Jaya and Vijaya arrogantly and outrightly denied them entry. Having witnessed this arrogance that surrounded the two doorkeepers of the Vaikuntha, the Sant Kumars cursed them, that this arrogance of theirs would now bestow on them separation from their Lord for entire 3 yugas. Devastated, Jaya and Vijaya started apologizing, and that is when Narayana himself came in the scene, and he apologized to the Sant Kumars on Jaya and Vijaya's behalf. But an uttered curse could not be returned, and so it was modified. It was modified in such a way that in all of these 3 yugas, Jaya and Vijaya would be liberated by Lord Vishnu himself. They would first be born as the Asura brothers, Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu. Second, as the Rakshasa brothers, Ravana and Kumbhakarna. Third, as the Manava brothers, Shishupal and Dantavakra, or sometimes even Shishupal and Kans. And this would satisfy their desire of being innately attached to their Lord, despite being far away from him physically. Because this is the concept of Viparita Bhakti, a state wherein one hates the enemy so much that they are constantly thinking about him. And innately they get attached and dedicated to their enemy, who is often the Lord himself. And that is how all the anti-heroes and villains in mythology attain moksha. For there is love embedded even in their hatred. And that is how the events unfolded. Jaya was born as Hiranyaksh, the elder Asura brother, and he attained a boon from Lord Brahma that no animal or human or even a deva would be able to kill him. Brahma, being the innocent creator of the world, granted him this boon. He did not anticipate that this could impair the smooth functioning of the world. Hiranyaksh in no time started conquering in and around the world and presumed this boon of his to be similar to that of immortality. He started misusing his powers and his boons, tormented the devas, approached Brahma, but Brahmadev, both regretful as well as disappointed, directed them to Lord Vishnu to seek help. When Narayana got to know of this, he took the form of a boar, for the boar was the only animal that Hiranyaksh had misspecified while he was attaining the boon from Brahma. He probably thought that a creature like a boar was no match for him, and that in no other way or circumstance could a boar kill him, and that is why he dismissed the animal. But Lord Vishnu took advantage of this little loophole of his. By now, Hiranyaksha had gained control of the Mother Earth and dragged her down to the sea. When Lord Vishnu got to know of this, he dived into the sea, placed his hoofs under the Mother Earth, and dragged her upwards. When he was rescuing Bhudevi or the earth, Hiranyaksha kept threatening him and hurling insults at him, saying that why was he running away and not challenging him for a duel. But the Varaha avatar paid no attention. He prioritized Bhudevi's safety a lot more over him proving his might to a worthless demon. After the goddess Earth was rescued properly, that is when the Varaha avatar took up his mace and challenged Hiranyaksha for a duel and eventually defeated him. Thus liberated once, Jaya thanked his lord as he waited for 2 more turns to be born and to be liberated, so as to return to the Vaikuntha, to his original occupation. Having restored dharma on the earth, Lord Vishnu then went back to Vaikuntha and lay in peace under his Sheshnag, while Lakshmi sat beside him. And this marks the end of this beautiful tale. Now this was a very simple tale, but preaches some of the greatest of virtues. First and foremost, that the respect for the Mother Earth is supreme. No matter how much power or fame we earn, we should never forget our roots. The Prakriti enriches us, and we in turn have no right to disrespect or harm it. In fact, we are all a product of the nature itself, and it is our duty to be there for it by caring for it and nurturing it every day. Therefore, let's all of us, in our own little capacity and extent, also keep adding to the nature's glory and aid in its healthy survival every day. Now this was a clear and simple learning, but this paves the way to another in-depth lesson, the one that is more layered. Because herein, in this story, it could be inferred that the Prakriti or the nature is a metaphor for our near and dear ones. And just like how I said we are all a product of the Prakriti, and in this respect, the nature can be compared to our own source of origin, our parents, just like the almighty nature, or anybody else who shelters us, like the pleasant bower of the nature that gives immense comfort, or just anybody else who is a part of this system under the all-abundant, all-inclusive Prakriti. It is our moral duty to be able to be there for them when they need us, despite the unwanted threats of any risk. For example, drawing from the story, when the Varaha avatar rescued the Mother Earth, he did not care about all the threats and insults hurled at him by Hiranyaksha. He prioritized the safety of the Mother Earth, and this priority of his was guided by the virtues of selfless humanity. Similarly, if today, in these adverse conditions, a close family member, relative or friend of ours needs our help, then let's not shun them away by apprehending of how it could take a toll on us in an unfortunate way. Not just now, but never. Let's never ever forget and shun the ones who have been with us in these hard times away. For now, because of the reason that we are scared, or later for any other reason. And even though fearing and being scared in these times is absolutely valid and natural, let's also not forget that all of us are in this together. And the only way we can get out of this is also together. Because the 10th incarnation of Lord Vishnu has a lot of time to come. Until then, we are our own saviors as well as our own survivors. Therefore, if it is possible, let's take a step ahead and try to be there for one another. Of course, in our own possible way and extent. Now, this willingness to be able to help and this to be able to rescue reminds us of some of the most brave hearts of the current times, the ones who have equaled the status of Almighty for us. You might have guessed who I'm talking about. You're right, the frontline workers, organizations and other individual volunteers who have relentlessly catered to the society to serve in its recovery and sustenance. Not just during the pandemic times, but also during the recent calamities that have shaken the earth. When Lord Vishnu took the form of a boar, his only mission and his only goal was to rescue Mother Earth. He did not think as to how this form of his would be perceived by the world. He did not ever wonder that would he be revered the same way in this form too. And by this little act of his, he preached another great lesson, that no form, no shape, no creed, or no segregation should hinder us when we decide to help one another. Just how all the frontline workers have catered to everybody in the same way, because all of the humankind is in this together. And it is now necessary that we blur these lines of distinctions and rise above and triumph over all odds together, because at the end we are all human beings, born of the same origin, sheltered by the same nature, and have a rhythmically beating heart that is expected to be kind. And so let these little links unite us in these times of misery as we try to be there for one another and grow together. Lastly, let all we do be done in love, because there is love embedded in every emotion, just like in the concept of Vipreet Bhakti. This latent love just needs to be acknowledged so that we keep adding a little love and care to this world every day to make it a better place. And at the end, just how as I say and convince myself as well, that it is incredibly difficult to imbibe it all in one go. Therefore, let's take 1 week at a time, one lesson at a time, and try to absorb them to be a better version of ourselves and to make this world a better place for everybody. Thank you.